had to tell my story, I just stood on the church steps and, the Lord told it for me, I guess. Okay, so I guess I'm going to start from the beginning. My parents met when they were 15 years old. They met because my dad's girlfriend was tough. I'm telling you these things to show generational ties, strongholds, and this is why I'm mentioning these things that may not seem of importance, but they are. So they met, my dad's girlfriend was huffing glue, and it caught her face on fire. She was in the hospital, and they went with her parents, because my mom was her friend. So they went to visit, and that's how they met. So my mom basically took her friend's boyfriend after a traumatic accident. So, the trauma begins already. And that's the beginning. So, before my mom turns 15, she has my oldest sister, Crystal. My parents quickly married, so now they're both two 16-year-olds married. My dad is a drug dealer. This is how he makes his money. I don't know what happened. He ended up getting in trouble, and they gave him an opportunity to go to the Army for a year or to go to jail. So, of course, off to the Army he went. So, of course, they're young. They have issues. They have, so my dad wants to leave my mom, so my mom gets pregnant with me to keep him. They were divorced by the time I was 6 months old. So there's the first marriage. My mom remarried. I don't remember how old I was. I was young enough that I peed my pants at the wedding, but I thought this man was my father. I didn't know I had another father. I asked her one day if I had two dads like Crystal did, because Crystal would go see my dad on the weekends, and I was little, so I didn't have to go, I guess. I'm not really sure. But either way, I thought he was my dad. So, of course, when their marriage ends, it traumatizes me because that's my dad. And my mom's crazy, and she did all the things. Prank calling, and I watched her beat up his girlfriend. Things like that. So, of course, he didn't have anything to do with us. He promised us that he would. He didn't have anything to do with us because of my mother. I didn't know this at the time. I thought there was something wrong with me. So he paid child support for us until my mother remarried. So I guess that's something. So she remarried again. I'm in the 3rd grade. Traumaville again. Like I'm home from a visit at my dad's for the summer for a couple months too. I hadn't seen him in years, mind you. And my mom just happened to get a hold of him this summer. So she ships us basically to a stranger's house for the summer. So when I get back, so the second husband's not there anymore, but the boyfriend, her next husband, is there. And he wants to sleep in my mom's bed with her. Well, I'm not going anywhere now. I'm going to stay right here, and I'm going to make sure that you don't sleep in my dad's bed. So that's how I felt about that. And it continued throughout the rest of my life that way. I tried to see my mother's husband as a father. I think because the way he was raised, he just didn't know how to love. So our interactions were corrections. When we did things wrong, when we got grounded, he made sure he followed through on his punishments. So when I was 13, they would fight a lot because of me. Because I talked back. I didn't know. I mean, honestly, I was a good kid. Looking back now, I didn't skip school, I didn't use drugs, I didn't smoke cigarettes, I didn't do alcohol, I didn't cuss. So my mom decided to put me in a children's home with kids who did all of those things, that stole cars, that, you know, the judges literally sentenced them to there. So, again, drama. But come to find out as an adult, I was acting out. There was a reason, and I didn't know that. I had repressed it. So I'm acting out, and I'm seeking love, and I'm seeking attention, and I just get pushed away. I get pushed away, I get pushed away. She sent me to a mental ward. She sent me to a children's home. Finally, she sent me to my father, again, who was a stranger. So Daddy tells me, this is my last stop, that, so, you know, I believe my dad wanted to love me. I think he tried, I think he meant well. I think he didn't pay attention enough. He liked to drink. Both of my mom's husband, the second, well, it would have been the third husband, and my dad are both, you know, terrible alcoholics. So, yeah, he told me this was my last stop. So, his wife wasn't, she was good to us until she had her kids. And then when she had her kids, of course, it's about her kids. So when Mom sent me to live with him that year, her kids got new school clothes. Now you have to remember, my mom's married men with money. We were taken care of. And so I never started school without a new pair of shoes. I didn't know that was an option. But I went to school that year with holes in my shoes. And I was afraid to say anything to my dad because I didn't want to cause turmoil. I didn't say anything to my mom. My sister came and visited one summer, and she went back and told my mom that I basically have to beg, borrow, or steal just for feminine hygiene. I didn't, again, I was going through it, you don't have anything to compare it to. So you don't know that it's not right. You don't know that my stepmom she would let me sit at school. She wouldn't come and pick me up. So I would be hours waiting for somebody to come and pick me up. And it would usually be one of my dad's friends that he worked with. So of course this lady becomes somebody who I really look up to. She's a homemaker. She has 2 kids. She cooks, she cleans, she does all the things. She cheats on her husband. She sells pot. And those are all the things that I wanted to be.
Get up here.
So, there I went. So by 15, late 15, I'm smoking weed. They were buying us Boone's Farm before that. Again, my parents would buy us Boone's Farm. We got paid in cigarettes to watch the kids so they could go out and party and get drunk. If I wanted to do something, if I wanted to go skating with my friends, most of the time I had to take my sisters with me, or I couldn't go. And there were two different skating rinks. There was the cool skating rink and the square skating rink. And of course, I wanted to go to the cool, but my younger sisters always wanted to go to the square rink. So anyway, I did a lot of parenting to my siblings, and I didn't know how. I didn't know what I was doing. So of course I'm a kid. I'm not mature at all. I have, no life experiences. I was great, grew up in a very small town in Belfry. Our classes are like graduating students of 100, so there wasn't, I was a really naive kid. So I started smoking weed and such with my dad, and it got to the point, like I said, my sister told my mom I had to beg, borrow, and steal for food and hygiene, that my mom said something to me. My pride was too big. I was not going to ask her to come home. There's no way. They could have made me shake my head at all. I was not going to ask my mother to go home. But she offered. So I went back home. By this time,
Thank you.
Crystal is, she's been a single child for years now. So, she stopped, made the set up the bedroom and the basement and the car, and she, She's got all the things. She's got a boyfriend. So, again, something's wrong with me. So,
I'm not oink. Look.
I meet a man there, and I get pregnant. By the next Thursday, he had me in Pennsylvania, in his town, away from my family. And not long after that, he starts physically abusing me, mentally abusing me. I ended up having that child at 26 weeks gestation. She weighed 1 pound and 13 ounces. She's 30 now.
I got it.
She's a brat.
You turkey.
She whipped.
You turkey.
But I know that she came early because of him. I know that. I know.
No more.
But either way, so my parents, they thought, the baby's gonna die, so they rush there because they don't want. This is what my mother tells me, and I'm so crazy. My mother tells me we hurried to get here as fast as we could because I didn't want them to throw the baby in the trash.
Yeah, I did it.
Drama. Drama. So, the baby's in the NICU. Of course, because she weighs 1 pound. We're young kids. We're smoking weed. The nurses are noticing. They're whispering. One of them decides to call us out. We decided we were going to go out on this night. So we go in to see the baby first. And she called us out on it. So my mom visits me the next time, and I have a black eye. So, my mom, she's catching on. Eventually, I end up, leaving this guy, and we never seen him again. So, at this point, Lainey, my oldest, is with my mom has her. I didn't get to be a kid, so now that I had my own house and was able to take care of her, nobody's telling me what to do. I want to party now. And I remember it literally feeling like a burden to have to get up in the middle of the night with that child. I wanted to party with my friends downstairs. So eventually my mom started taking me, and before you knew it, it was just permanent. So something that they talked me into doing because it's the right thing, that they held over my head for the rest of my life. It made me feel like a terrible person. So because of that, there's more depression. There's more trauma. So I'm homeless. I was homeless from. He was born in '94. So I was homeless from '95 until 2001. And I didn't realize that until last couple summers ago when I ran the homeless day shelter at our church at home. And I was talking with a homeless girl, and she would come and she would help me. And I told her, I said, I really never was homeless. And then I thought, I didn't feel homeless because it was different then than it is now. I just stayed on people's couches. I would stay here and babysit and clean for a week. And people got to the point where they were excited to see me go in because I did the things, and I needed a place to stay, so I did that on purpose. I was literally raising some people's children while mine was at my mother's, and I'm not allowed to see this child at all. I tried. So, where we at?
I got it.
So yeah, again, I'm homeless. Right before I get homeless, let's back up a little bit. When I'm telling you guys I have my own apartment, Mom takes it. This is when I get introduced to that. So there's this guy, and he likes me, and really he just wants to take my money, use me, and so he brings some meth, and I do meth, and trash it. They take the keepsakes that I have with Lainey because she's 26 weeks gestation. I had saved her diapers and this and that. Well, they put it on the wall with ketchup on it like it was a maxi counter. And destroyed everything that I had saved for her to see. So I ended up moving in with my grandma. I ended up pregnant with Bailey. I lived pretty much the whole pregnancy with my grandma. Don't care to use protection or anything at this point because somebody has suggested to me that to not be homeless, I need to get pregnant. Because then I can get HUD and I can, pregnant. By the end of my pregnancy, my apartment came up, so I moved in my apartment. Now this is before cell phones. I'm literally 8 months pregnant, and I'm like, I got this. I'm gonna stay at night without being able to call somebody if I go into labor because I want to see this guy who stole my first paycheck. First paycheck I ever made, he stole it. So again, there's just a bunch of, it just gets worse. I end up, my dad's best friend is a meth cook. I watched my dad do drugs. He didn't die. They looked like they were having a great time. So this is why I'm not scared. I mean, I'm scared. I'm scared to use drugs. I was scared to use drugs when I was using drugs. My motto was, I'm trying to get high, I'm not trying to die. But it was, anyway, it just, when you see, it wasn't a big deal for me to try it because of that. And again, before you know it, now, here's my dad's best friend, literally his best friend. I'm 22. I'm cute. I'm young. He swoops me in his house. So I'm going to stay in his house to be a babysitter. And, people, every time I walk in and out of the room, people would be like, what are you doing? Because I looked 15. I looked very young. I was a baby. So that was disgusting. And he, for the next few years would dress me and flaunt me. And that's how the next few years would go. He would have other women come in and I could either join or I could sleep on the couch. So that was the rules. If that would allow. I mean, there's just all these crazy, disgusting, and it's where I wanted to be. That everybody, all the men wanted to be this guy, and all the women wanted to be with him, and I really just thought, like, I could sell meth for the rest of my life, and if I could pay taxes on it, then nobody would say, it would be what? We send our kids to school, we do all the same things that you do. This is just my crop. That's literally how I looked at it. So in 2001, when I had Bailey, I decided I met grandma, so I'm clean. And I'm going to stay clean. She's not a month old. My sister comes over with her boyfriend and they, have full syringes. And didn't even snort at first. Just went straight back to slamming her to the hard. And so then we made rules. We were responsible. I would stay up for a couple days and my sister would Shelby watch the baby. And then she would stay up for a couple days and I would watch the baby. So that way there was always somebody responsible. And I know there were angels who took care of it. I know they did. She was able to go up and down the steps by the time she was 4 or 5 months old. And it got to the point where I just taught her how to do it because I didn't pay attention enough. And she would watch the other kids climb over, so she learned how to do it. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm just going to teach her how to do it, so that way she does it safely. And so my sisters are a big part of this story as well. I've left them out a lot because they've been absent from my life for years because of this. They think that I think I'm better than they are, and I think that I want to be better than I used to be. So yeah, there's a lot of, damage there that I don't think will ever be repaired. So Bailey gets to be, I end up quitting drugs finally, by the time she's 3 years old, I'm getting my life together. I have an apartment,
I see her.
cars, of course I'm living with somebody. So I think you're doing good. He's got a job, I got a job, all the things. So that relationship doesn't work out. That's the longest one I had to do. It was 7 years. So the next few years, there's just a whole more slew of like different boyfriends. I'm sober, but I'm still living that life. I'm still caught up in the drama and the boyfriends, and it's gonna sound like I'm blaming my mother here, but I'm not. But my mother always told us this is a generational curse. This is why I'm bringing this up. This is soul ties. My mother told us not to marry first, to live with them first, because that way she was married 3 times, so that way we didn't screw up. We lived with them for a little bit. So that's what I did. That's what I did. Nobody ever stunk. Nobody extra special that stands out. So about the time that Bailey turns 12 years old, I don't know how I found myself back there, but I was back there, trying to get myself off of just pain pills, because I was snorting just pain pills then. Trying to get myself off of pain pills, my sister took Suboxone. So I thought, well, this is how I'm going to stop doing these pain pills. So I'm buying strips off of her and taking little pieces of it, and before you know it, I am shooting those up. And remember, this is something I've done in years. So if somebody tells you Suboxone's good, it's not. If you know addicts who are coming off of heroin, let them come off of it. Don't give them Suboxone. It's worse. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I'd rather somebody have Suboxone and know they're going to live than have to run the streets. And if they're still using, I think Suboxone's great. But if you're trying, to work a program, just sweat it out. So either way, I would get to day 3. Day 3 was the worst. I end up with another guy, and he's a felon, and so he's involved in drug court, and he can't get clean because I have pushed these drugs back on him. When we first get together, he's clean. I think and then somewhere in the middle, like it just, I don't know what happened. I have no clue what happened. So he is made to go to a 28-day detox because, he's on paper. So I went every day. I got in my car and I followed what we call the druggie buggy. It's the van for this recovery center, and they would take them to a meeting every day. So I followed the druggie buggy to see my boyfriend. By the time he got out, he was just kidding. He didn't really need it. And I had a sponsor, I had a home room, and I was on my way to get a big book. So I kind of had to reel him back in because, I'm standing firm on this now. And now I know, because I was raised in church, now I know that I need to get to the altar. So it's probably 30 days-ish of being in church, or of being in the rooms, and I knew I needed to hit the altar. So I went to church. I went to a different church than I would have because the guy I was with had tattoos, and he was afraid that they would So I don't know, I went to the altar, it just didn't feel So we go to a meeting later that day, and our friends Jennifer and Justin, they have just started going to church. So I'm like, where are you guys going to church? Because I need to make him feel comfortable, and if you guys are tattooed and you're going to church. So I end up in an apostolic church. You want to talk about different. The Lord knows me really well, though. He knows that if you can't give me an inch, I will take a lot. So he slapped me straight in the middle of this rulesy church. And before it was over with, I'm not kidding you, I didn't paint my fingernails, I didn't put makeup on, I did not wear earrings, I had long hair, I was wearing skirts, I was doing all the things. Believe that. And I would look in the mirror, and I would feel like, man, I really just want to wear a pair of jeans, and that would make me feel sick inside still. So finally, because I ended up in this church because I couldn't go to the church I was raised in because of my family. My mom took 2 years to talk to me after I got clean. So this is why I'm over here in this church. So now people are seeing, it's about 1.5 years in this church, people are seeing over here from this church, wow, she's still doing that. She's still doing that thing. So they open up a different church, and it's right in the middle of the ghetto. That's right up my alley. It's my streets. Literally. So I go and I'm helping. The pastor there happens to be my sister Crystal, her husband's new wife. So they've been married for over 25 years now. And so my sister's husband's new wife essentially aided the Lord in saving my soul. And I know that's weird. People say, all the time are like, isn't that? No, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's a great testimony. So at one point, Mel walks in my house. I'm snorting pills. I'm doing all, She walks in my house and she tells me, Angie, I talked to the Lord. And I'm telling you, I heard him as clearly as you're hearing my voice right now. And he told me that I don't need to worry about you anymore. And she's excited to come and tell me. She's crying and feeling all the things that we as Christians feel. And I'm sure she walked away crying with a broken heart because I believed her. I believed the Lord told her that. But I wasn't ready to hear that. So I just went right back. But I feel like I knew. I knew in my heart, my whole life, that I was going to serve the Lord eventually. I remember conviction being on me as young as I can remember, thinking I might not get caught, but he knows. So I really think that the Lord knew I was going to stand here. And of course he did. That's silly. So either way, I'm in the rooms now. I've repented. I go to the apostolic church, and I'm at that altar, and the pastor, you know how apostolic pastors are, they're getting it, and he's talking me through my repentance. And I'm saying all the things. And things just start coming off of me. And I get numb and tingly. And just all of the things. So now I'm addicted to this rush from the altar. So I'm bringing all my recovery friends to church because you got it. You got to feel this. Then I woke up and realized one day, God doesn't move on everybody like that. But I would get disappointed every time because I just thought, And so I chased that rush. When I got baptized, it was the second time I got baptized. I wanted to do it again after all the dirt that I did. But I really just felt like I was supposed to feel that way when he baptized me too. So I just kind of looked at the pastor like, that's it. Because I expected the feeling from the altar to be in the baptism. And it wasn't. It was not. So again, eventually, I'm getting sick at this church because of all the things. And I'm going over to this church, they're opening it. So I'm helping my mom, and we're making better connections, and we're bonding, getting this church ready. We're scrubbing the walls, we're doing all the things. And it probably took about 6 months. I did both of the churches. I did both of them. It was hard for me to leave the apostolic church because I knew they were going to weep for my soul. So I'm over here at this ghetto church with my sister's ex-husband's new wife, baptizing children, feeding kids, doing all these things. And I was going to bring so many little kids through to the Holy Ghost. And then my friend Jennifer, she was going to sing. Jan don't sing, and I don't like kids. So how is this going to work out? Jennifer and her husband are at church right now. She's on stage sick.
Happy Mario, like
So he was just off the mark a little bit with the prophecy. And so I tried, I decided I'm done with men because I can't pick them. I cannot pick them, so I'm just not going to do that. So I got about 3 years, and church hurt. But I think this was the last crushing. I met a man in church, and
over here.
he came pastor recommended by multiple pastors. We were married very quickly because, he chased me for about 1.5 years. And he went to the same church, so, once I became lonely and interested, I thought, I can't learn anything new about him, so let's get married. Nobody gets married faster than people in the army and Christians. So we did, and it was not, he completely, well, I saw the real him. It wasn't that he changed. I saw the real him, and that's not how I want. So then I would panic. It would literally take my breath because now my morals are going to have to be low. I have committed myself to all these things in the church, but I'm doing right now. That was before you were my wife. So again, that very quickly was gone. I stayed 5 months, and I stayed that long because my pastor told me to. Honestly. So here we are again. I just am done with men. That was huge trauma for me. I think that was the last real crushing that the Lord did on me before. But at this point, I've already decided I'm an old church lady. I have forgotten about men completely. I don't even look at them. I don't, I'm just going to be an old church lady.
So, I honestly didn't think she would talk that much. Who would have thought that?
Shut up.
Whoa.
But anyway, she's in Parkersburg about the time. Parkersburg is kind of at the end of all the original mess that she just left at, So I really feel it's crazy how the Lord works things out. And but what got me to Parkersburg, I'm not going to talk so much on it, or we'll be here for another hour. But I didn't have a lot of the childhood trauma and the childhood drama that she had. And I was raised right. I was raised in a normal household, I would like to say, Mom did the best she could with me, but I learned at a young age manipulation. I learned at a young age, how to get what I wanted in certain areas. But I also had a stuttering issue that I think played a little more trouble in my childhood than what I realized it did. And I think as I got a little bit older just recently that I realized that the stuttering issue kind of made me socially awkward and allowing other people to talk for me. And it was easier that way than to get made fun of. And I think that carried over into my adulthood, which is also why I feel like drugs and alcohol helped ease that, because I wasn't so worried about what other people would think of me, or I didn't really care if I did stutter because, hey, I'm feeling good. So I thought, but it just took all that care away. But a lot of it was, was that, and I think the socially awkwardness that I did have played into a lot of us as I got to be a young adult, the alcohol, the smoking weed, and then the harder drugs eventually. But, I got married at a young age, was not ready to be a husband, was not ready to be in a marriage. I was going to church but not following Jesus. I was not saved. I was not doing anything that I was supposed to be doing. I was not living how I was raised. I was raised in the church from the time I was born. And, So church was familiar. But what wasn't familiar was living for Jesus. So eventually I got divorced, got in a really bad relationship, started getting into legal trouble. The legal trouble is what led me to jail probably 6 or 7 times, maybe more than that. Never made it out of regional jail. Thank goodness for that. But, God had a plan. The last time I got arrested, July 4th, 2021. I called mom and dad, I think either that night or the day after, and I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to get help. I'm ready for treatment. And dumbing me, I said, I want to go to Recovery Point, West Virginia. And, after I told her that, I was kind of like, oh man, am I doing the right thing? Because Recovery Point's one of the top 3 hardest programs to complete not in West Virginia, but the East Coast. So it's a really tough program, but it's what I needed. It got me back to what I was raised in. Got me back to responsibility. Changed my actions from living in the gray area to living outside of the gray area, and then on to following Jesus. God was directing my steps every step of the way. I just had to accept it. And once I accepted it, everything just got easy. Recovery was easy. And a lot of people look at me and I'm crazy because they always say, once you're an addict or once you're an alcoholic, that's what you always are. Well, that's not what the Bible tells us. The Bible tells us that once we are in Christ, we are a new creation. And I truly believe that we are no longer bound by our past mistakes. We are no longer bound by what we did or who we used to be. We are made new in Christ. And turning my life over and living toward His will made that so much easier. And then I started looking outside, like, hey, listen, I'm not an addict no more. I'm not an alcoholic no more. So whenever I'm saying that, I'm lying because I'm not that person anymore. And if I say that, I'm believing I'm still that person. So I'm not very popular with a lot of people in recovery because they still feel like we are labeled that. We're not. We are a child of God. We are, made new in Christ, and that's who we are. We're not an alcoholic. We're not drug addicts. So talking to people about that, it's hard. They're like, well, I don't care what they say. Once you accept Christ, the old is gone, the new is here. And so that made it difficult finishing up the program because my walk with Jesus got so far ahead of my recovery that still being in the room, still being in the program and everything, it's still hard because whenever we announce ourselves, I'm Tyler, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm Tyler, I'm a drug addict. So as I'm saying that and everything, it didn't feel right. It didn't sit right with me. But made it through the program. My walk with Jesus kept getting further and further along. Started working in recovery, and this is where Angie comes in. Working in recovery, I work at St. Joseph's Recovery Center. She's working at a cafe on the other side of the recovery center for all the community, not just the rehab center. But before I meet her, I had a job lined up in Morgantown. I was already talking to Mom. We were already planning on me moving back home. She was getting the room cleaned out. She was getting the house ready for me to come back home. I'll finish Recovery Point up on November 2nd. I'll start my new job, I think November 16th or November 18th. About the middle of October, I get a message saying that they wanted to push my start back until the following February. I thought, okay, cool. I'll still have a job, I got a place to live. I'll just hang out down here for a couple more months, save up a little bit of money. Well, in those couple of weeks, I never ate this cafe the entire 2 months I was working there, never even thought about it. I would always leave the hospital to go get my lunch. Well, it was either a Thursday or a Friday. I said, I'm hungry, I don't feel like going anywhere, so I'll go get a sandwich, right? So I go down there and I order me, I don't even know what sandwich it was. It's a sandwich, right? Well, they all look at me. What kind of bread, what kind of cheese, what kind of condiments, lettuce, tomato, whatever. You want it toasted or not toasted? I'm like, I just want a sandwich. Like, I was hungry, I don't care. She's the one that did it to me. I was overwhelmed, and But you know what? There was just a little. I think at first it was just that initial, just hey, cool. They're cool to talk to. I'll go down there and eat lunch from now on. So that's kind of how that worked. And then eventually, she said, I want to start serving in the church. I just didn't want to attend church. I wanted to serve, and that's what they did in Parkersburg. They served the community where she went to church at. And I'm not saying that they didn't serve the community at the church that I was going to, because they did, just in a different way. I wanted to help the homeless. I wanted to serve, the drug addicts and everything a little bit more, and that kind of fit what I wanted to do. Well, I put on hold coming back home, and Mom wasn't real thrilled with me. She didn't think it was a smart decision. Our relationship moved a little bit quick. It moved pretty quick. I gotta tell a story. So the very first Alcoholics Anonymous or AA meeting I went to, I want to talk bad about the church we went to in Parkersburg real quick. Not really bad. First meeting I went to was the gathering in Parkersburg. It was the one that they served the homeless out of and everything, and it's a mess. And it smells like cat pee. And I'm like,
homeless people.
And homeless people. And I'm like, I'm never going back to that church, never stepping foot in that church again. I will go everywhere else but that church. You want to know where we went on our first date?
That church.
To church. At that church. So it's funny how the Lord worked there. I didn't step foot in that church again until we went to church. And I feel like the Lord has a little bit of sense of humor whenever He does that to us and everything. But we start serving together. That starts taking a whole other route. And 6 months into it, we get married. 6 months. Might be 7.
It was 6.
Maybe 7. It was November too, May, so 7. We'll go 7. It sounds better.
Whatever.
But
Either way, we did not know each other.
we got to know each other real well.
Yeah, we did.
It was a struggle, to say the least, whenever we first got married, and didn't like each other, couldn't stand her. We had 3 keys to 3 separate churches, so I was able to easily get away and to have a separate building to myself to go to. I always came back home because I felt lonely whenever you go to church and you're just kind of like soaking in your problems and everything. So, come back home. But, it was miserable. For the first probably 5 or 6 months, it was miserable. And huh?
What was the root?
But I mean, you get up here and talk. That's why we're up here. We're doing this together. We were living outside of God's will whenever we were dating and everything. We were living outside of not living right, living together and everything, even though we knew it was wrong. And that's why I feel like we did get married so quick, because at the same time, we felt a calling on our life, and to live for the Lord, you have to drop all your willful sin and to live for Him before He can really do a lot of work in your life. And I knew once we got married that the Lord was going to use that, and He did.
Where the devil tried to take it out.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole bunch of trouble and everything. But what happened was the Lord started working after we stopped standing in agreement with the enemy. I got involved. This is where I felt the calling of my life to step into ministry, give my testimonies, where it started at. And then also started coming to preaching once a month, once every other month. And then I was like, well, if it's what the Lord's calling me to do, He'll make a way for the classes to happen. Well, shortly after that, a couple months after that, there's a program through the Wesley Church that I can take a class at a time, and it's not, it didn't hurt the financials. Like, okay, cool. This is where the Lord's leading me, and it's popped up out of nowhere. But then 6 months later, they closed down the program. So I was like, okay, Lord, so what are you telling me here? What is going on? So I kind of sat on it and thought about it. Well, another program that was up and running was sitting there all along. I just didn't know about it. So I get an email from the district telling me about this, and it's a little better on the financial end of things for me. So, and it's it fits my pace of life a little bit better. You get a little bit longer to do your homework than a set schedule and everything. So that's what really, and it really opened my eyes that, okay, like this is what the Lord really does want me to do. And that's what I'm still doing. I'm still taking classes through them. And I'll probably have about 5 more years of classes to go. But you know what? It's working. And the Lord's moving in our life. And then the opportunity came along up here. I never checked the website for job postings on Wesleyan Church. I just happened to hop on there that one day. And there's the pastor, the lead pastor position opened up. And I was like, okay. So I just sent my application and my resume up here to him. I didn't expect anything out of it at all. I was like, the worst that can happen is the time is not now. The time is, in the Lord's timing. Well, summer went on into the fall, and coming back and forth, staying in contact with Steve and Dreama, just kind of seeing where the Lord was leading. And I know it's His will for us to be here. I know we both still have a lot to learn. I know we still both have a lot to gain and to be better, for myself to be a better leader, and for her to be more involved in the community like it was down in Parkersburg. The community here has a need. But the need is a little bit different than what we faced in Parkersburg. And it's just kind of figuring out how to get involved in that a little bit up here. But I'm thrilled to be back home. I ain't gonna lie to you. Except for the 2 feet of snow 2 separate times last year. I was not real happy about that. Even though I told everybody I hope we have one good snowstorm to welcome Angie into Preston County. Well, I think we had a whole winter long with snowstorms. So I'm not going to say that again this year. But we moved up here in October, and February we went to Daytona. First time I've been to Daytona in probably 9 years with Mom and Dad. That they've been going every year since, maybe even 10 years. But while we're down there, you want to talk about the message that you got?
Yeah.
Hi, Audrey.
Nice. So, while in Parkersburg, other ministries get together and you kind of partner up. So we partnered up with this ministry that was around the corner from our church often, and they had children in their family that they had adopted. They had their own children. They were just bunch kids. So through that, I built a relationship with one of their sons. We are, like Tyler said, at the beach, and I opened up my messenger, and Dakota is what he's named. He messages me, and he says, "Funny question, but how would you feel about having a 15-year-old move in?" I knew who he was talking about. I don't know how I knew it, but because she lived with them, but they had let her go back with her mother. And when her mother passed away, she went to her sister. So it wasn't good. But the gist of the story is Dakota messaged me because he said while he was praying for a place for Allie to go, I popped in his head. So Tyler and I, on paper, look really bad. So nobody's going to give us a kid. But by the grace of God, she didn't have anything from CPS or the state. So it just, she just had to be signed over to us, and Judge did it. So, yeah, we would have never been able to do any kind of adoption or anything like that. Nobody, yeah, bad records. They don't take record of good things. They do only bad. So,
But yeah, we got Allie. That's when we turned 16 here in 2 days, 3 days, and she's been a true blessing, not just for us, but she has attached herself to the members of our congregation here. They've been nothing but welcoming and loving, and we couldn't be any more happier. Mom and Dad have been absolutely amazing.
she's made a teddy bear out of grouchy Sky. I know you. She loves her Marky. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She makes him smile every single time. Every single time.
Mhm.
That one's hard.
And I'm just happy to be back home, and that's really all I got to share today. We can go a little bit deeper another time, but that's all we got. Thank you all for coming out.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
So